Welcome back to this week's episode of the Online Bible Institute Network podcast. I'm Douglas Laws. With me is Pastor Tanko Brain from Cameroon. He's the director of our Cameroon Bible Institute. Lovely to have you here. My dad, Pastor Steve, is normally with us. He didn't sleep well last night, so he didn't feel like it. But he's probably grading stuff right now as we speak and do this. But we thought it would be fun to have me and Brain have a little chat. So, Brain, how was your week this week? What happened in your ministry?
Yeah, great week. I'm supposed to be on leave now, but I had a good time last Sunday in some village outside of my comfort zone.
Okay. So
I was
when you
I,
say
I
leave,
was
are you taking
preaching
a
there.
vacation or are you just taking a break? What is?
That, basically just taking a break. We're not in the culture of vacations.
Sure.
We're still getting to that. Yeah, but I'm taking a break for a month. I have to do that every year. Though last year I didn't do that. Yeah, that started last week, but I had an assignment to preach in this village
Okay.
last Sunday, so I was there. It was an interesting trip there, and the challenges of roads and all of that, meeting new people, it was great. And I'm here, so I'm kind of in a new setup because I'm at my house.
Okay.
I'm not in the church office as usual, so. Yeah,
Right.
I
Okay.
guess I'm trying to fit into the environment at the moment because
Sure.
usually I wake up every day in the morning and I'm off to the office and I'm
Yeah,
back
complete routine
towards
check.
evening.
Yeah, that would be So is there a
Yeah,
goal for this month for you? Like is it for rest? Like what is the hope for this month for you
yeah.
as you
Ba-
continue to do
basically,
ministry in different places?
yeah. Basically to rest. We need rest, right? To avoid burnout and all that stress stuff and all of that. So basically it's to rest and to just have a kind of retreat and hopefully come back better, stronger,
Yeah.
and full of the spirit.
Well, that's great. Yeah, the Sabbath times are precious. So I hope you can enjoy it. That it's restful, and you come back to your church
That's right.
recharged and ready to go.
Amen.
My week, I had a pretty crazy week. Monday, I was in jury duty all day,
Oh,
and so in America, you have to go on these juries for these trials and stuff. It was a civil case, and
yeah.
I was there 9 hours down in Key West, which is about an hour away. And it's just
That's
waiting
interesting.
on lawyers and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, because you get summoned, and that is the worst letter to ever receive in the mail, and it happens to me far too often. And
Uh,
parking down in Key West is nuts. So I'm like, Lord, if you want me to do this, like if it's gonna be my day, just could you make this easy? And literally right in front of the door, a spot was open, and I'm asking the bailiffs, like, am I allowed to park there? That was like way too easy. They were like, it's your lucky day. So it was fine. It was pleasant enough, but I'm thankful I didn't get picked to that jury. And yesterday, I actually helped install a sound system at a church in Marathon, the Presbyterian church there. So, been
oh, that's great.
yeah,
And you do great with those things.
yeah.
Sometimes I look at your setup in church and I'm like, how does this guy know where all these cables go? And
Well, it's you get it
that is
working
great.
once, and then if I don't touch it for a while, I forget how I made it work. So it's like a brand new experience every time. Like, how on earth? And then I kind of have to rack my brain on it. But yeah,
Um,
we're nerds, my dad and I. And
yeah, you are definitely.
thank you for
He's a
agreeing so
Bible nerd.
quickly. But,
He's a Bible nerd. You're a technology nerd or something like that.
oh,
What do we call you now?
a little bit of both. But yeah, this week,
Great.
yeah, the whole point of this podcast, well, not the whole point, obviously we have a good time chatting, but we go over our notes that we do at Keys Vineyard Church on the weekends, and I get to speak this weekend, and
Yeah. So
my
you get to coach me this week.
I think you can coach me more than I can coach you, but looking through the note, I need coaching because this podcast started with my father coaching me, and he's a great help as I learn ministry more and more. But we have Kingdom Incarnate Part 11. It's It's the 11th part of this series that's in a bigger series of 8 series. And the way my dad explains, it gets complicated, but we're in this part called Kingdom Incarnate. Last week, my dad talked about temptation, and we saw Jesus' temptation in the wilderness, and it kind of ended with the talk on lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. And he's done that message before, but he kind of put a nice fresh twist on it. This week, we're going to be moving into Luke 5, and we're talking about forgiveness and unforgiveness. And the passage that we read from Luke 5 is the story of the friends who helped the paralytic man into the house, and they get him through the roof down in there. And before Jesus heals the man, he forgives him of his sins. And so, one of the thoughts my dad has is like everybody wanted him to just heal the obvious thing first, right? But Jesus saw it as important that his sins were forgiven first. And
That's right.
It's that he did it that way. It knowing Jesus, it makes sense. But if you're in that moment where you're in this house with let's say 100 people in this tiny room, and this is the guy who does amazing things, and they cut a hole in this poor homeowner's house, they drop him in, and he's like, your sins are forgiven. Like, what's their initial response? What you like? And then I think, as a homeowner, I'd be upset if someone cut my roof. And
that's right.
How did they get up there? What tools have they used? How much is this going to cost me? But we see Jesus doing the good stuff. There's this confrontation we see after Jesus forgives this man of his sins with the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. And they're like, who can forgive sins but God alone? And so that's where they're upset. And then he just goes and he does his thing, and then he heals them. And, then the Pharisees' reaction is like, well, how do we keep questioning this guy? And they keep trying. And, we take that talk and we move towards forgiveness more and more. And my dad actually sent me a link to a Mayo Clinic study about what forgiveness and unforgiveness does to your body. And unforgiveness, it's a major deal. When we hold on to unforgiveness, we can bring anger, bitterness into every relationship, just negative consequences on our health, we see, is what they said too. Like, it actually causes physical ailments.
Wow.
So, and that's pretty cool to get a study like that from the Mayo Clinic on that, and, talking about that. The 3 points that we have for this week, I'm just going to touch on them real quick, and we'll obviously do more of a deep dive this weekend. And my dad came up with these notes. But the first one is, you're going to be offended. But it's true, How often does it happen with you where in your messages someone in your church is offended with you? Like, you've said something and they've, just been bothered by it. Does that happen to you often?
It does. I get the feedback. Like, I remember one of them was just about 2 weeks ago, and one of those instances where you preach a thing, and in this case I was talking about parents and children at home, and I was like, yeah, parents, there's a point in disciplining your children, but you don't take it to extremes. You don't punish them to destroy and all that. And some of them, they didn't take it easy. They didn't find that very easy to comprehend and to accept, because in our context we beat the hell out of you, Well, I was trying to let them know, well, there are prescribed ways to discipline a child. The Bible actually tells us to discipline, but
Sure,
we should be mindful how we do it so we don't end up destroying the children and all that. And they were like, nah, it doesn't work like that, because if you give the children that kind of opportunity to hear messages like that, the problem was not with the content of the message. The problem was, I was talking about it in church. and the children are there. So what would they think?
Right. Don't let the
Yeah.
children off
So,
the hook. They need the fear of God, and is that kind of what was happening there? Yeah, but
yeah, so they get offended. They get offended when you try to really bring scriptures to
mm,
bear on very specific areas of their lives, and
sure.
yeah, it happens.
Well, yeah, and it's funny how so many folks will take certain verses out of context, and then they get offended by it when you
That's
put
right.
it back in its proper context. So, but yeah,
Right.
uh, in person, I don't get too many people being offended with me. But it was funny the last weekend I preached. A couple of days after, there was a negative Google review on our church page saying how
Oh,
the pastors tell too many jokes. I'm like, just our silly little jokes, having a little fun. They were like, yeah, no, don't do that, stop it. And I was like, really? And so
I mean,
it's
you tell like three jokes before the sermon. It's not like you tell
no,
jokes in the middle of the
it
sermon.
takes a minute. Like, come on, man. So like I got offended. So the point of you're gonna be offended, it kind of made me chuckle, and it's true. And
That's right.
where it goes from there is that forgiveness is empowering for you, because yeah, that day where I saw it, I just got annoyed. Like, who does this? It was an anonymous lady too. It's
I don't like bad reviews.
no,
They're
no,
terrible.
and it's like
No,
who?
they make you feel like you're doing nothing.
No, and the review even said it's a good church, but this and lots of so. But the whole point of forgiveness is empowering for you. It's not like unforgiveness is a shield, right? We'll talk about this. I think Brain's phone froze. We were having such a good connection too. But that's a really good brain freeze. That's what we call these in our podcasts, is brain freezes. When that's a nice smile. Yeah. There we go. Are you back? Maybe. Let's see. He was there for a second. We got some frame drops. If I was really on top of it, I would edit this out, but I kind of like everybody experiencing the technical goobs. He's chuckling.
That was terrible. Yeah, yeah, I can make sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
It's the internet, you know how it is. And we have to forgive the internet providers sometime for dropping frames. Let's see. Are you back?
I was trying to say, yeah, I'm back. I guess so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to say that it's amazing how we get these reviews, and something just takes us to the negative part. Like they would say the church, it's a lovely church, it's a good church. We don't want to see a but, when they get to but,
Yeah.
that's where we sort of put our finger on, and
We always focus on the negative, I think, is where he was going to go. But yeah, I totally agree with that. Is we don't look at the positives, we look at the negatives. My dad will compare it to when a photo's taken. You could take a group photo, and the way that photo is good is how you look in that photo. It's like, oh, I look great. It's a great photo, but like there's a kid in the background picking their nose. Everybody's blinking, but you. That's that's yeah, something to think about. So, his second point is forgiveness is empowering for you. And then this weekend, what I'll kind of leave as the cliffhanger is what forgiveness isn't and is. And, hopefully, if you're listening to the podcast, you would know. If you're confused by it, listen this weekend. That'll be cool. But we'll kind of talk about that. And, it's there was one point my dad wanted me to make about what forgiveness isn't, and it's forgiveness isn't forgetting. Okay, so the Bible doesn't say forgive and forget. That's something we hear a lot in our lives, and it's not as easy to just forget something major, a major offense that's happened to us. So we're not called to do that. But we are called to let go of the anger and the resentment from it, and we're to trust God to deal with the situation. So that's the gist of what we'll talk about this weekend at the church. and I'm looking forward to it. Couple of quick updates for the podcast we might find interesting. April 10th, we have an interview scheduled with Putty Putman. He founded the School of Kingdom Ministry. He's running a new site called Kingdom Labs. We're hoping to incorporate some of that into our curriculum in the future. Going to be a really good talk with him. That'll be our April 10th podcast. We'll have the four of us in for a good time. And if you'll notice, I'm wearing a new OBI Network shirt. We have started our merch store. We put in some new logos, and if you're interested, check it out. It's fun. If you wanted to grab a shirt like me, you can look exactly like me. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but but you can. Those were the announcements I have. Again, be praying for my dad. He's old, and he was a little tired today. But yeah, Brain. Well, we were pre-chatting in the pre-show. Brain was very concerned. I was like, he'll be fine. So we'll see how he feels tomorrow. And
Yeah, that's right. Pray for him, and you know, if not for the health issues, just for what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he gives in a lot of time, a lot of energy into what we have. So yeah, and that's enough reason to pray for him.
Yeah, he we
Yeah,
all
but we
appreciate the prayers, but definitely keep him praying up. He's so passionate about this Bible Institute and helping people just dive into the Bible more. It's very inspiring. So, love my dad.
and you know, just today he sent me a link to some other thing. I mean, that will be of help to the students. And you know, I couldn't imagine that he was doing that from home, resting for the health issues and all of that. But it says it all about him. He's really committed to seeing that we get the best quality training and all the resources we can get. So
Yeah,
yeah, the best we can do is pray for him.
for sure. Yeah, he's been doing a great job with this. I'm pretty sure he's at his computer working right now. He just didn't have his energy level where he wanted. But yeah, even when he's not feeling well, he's still working on sermons in the Bible Institute. So definitely keep him in your prayers. We love him to pieces. He really appreciates everything you do, Brain. He speaks so highly of you. And thank you so much for joining me on this. And it's been great chatting. I'm going to try playing our new outro here, which is the same as our intro. And let's see if this works. And again, thank you so much for watching. Keep taking your classes. We will see you all next week.